Cali X Boxing. I'm here on this Wednesday. Beautiful Wednesday. Hump day. Hope everybody's having a great week. And we're now sandwiched in between two big fights on a super fight week. So we'll talk about what we witnessed yesterday, how we go forward on that, and try to unpack that and put it in the proper perspective. And we'll also talk about what's happening Saturday. So we'll stay positive here and we'll make fun of people in the process who need to be made fun of. And we'll do it in a fun manner because we're not going to let people affect our mood, right? So we'll do it in a fun manner. We'll poke fun at people. We'll illustrate absurdity with more absurdity. That's what we do. And boxing fans speaking to other boxing fans about how we can further our agenda as boxing fans. That's what we do here. No fanager zone. So let's get it started. My guy, Andre Rodriguez, y'all make sure to hit that like button for me. Good afternoon, Calix. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. Once again, good afternoon. And to the chat, good afternoon. And my guy, D Nice, salute to you. You know what was refreshing about watching the fight yesterday between Inoue and Fulton was the how they roll in Japan, right? Very respectful of the opponent. Stephen Fulton Jr. goes out there. They stand for his anthem. They respect the anthem. They respect the champion. They respect that he has belts. They respect him as a great fighter. After he loses the fight, after he loses every round and gets knocked out, they're not calling him a hype job. They're not calling him a bum. They're not calling him super flawed. They're not breaking this guy down after a loss. And that's a beautiful thing to see. And I wish we were able to do that here in America. I wish we were able to do it. I watched them in Japan and I'm like, man, I'm so envious of how they do it out there. I'm just envious. They watch a fight. They watch a fight between two great fighters. And they say, okay, that guy lost, but I still respect him. They're high-fiving the dude. Yeah, you lost every round. You got knocked out, but high five to you. You gave your best effort. Good job. They're high-fiving him after he's leaving the arena, going back to his locker room. They're not bad-mouthing him for not giving an interview. None of that. It's crazy. I know. Like, the dudes just go out there, enjoy a great fight, respect both fighters, both winner and loser. They don't tear down the loser because what do we say all the time on here? You lose, you lose. We're still here. That's the fun part about this, right? Is Stephen Fulton Jr.'s real fans, us, me. I'll put myself in this. Me. I was a Stephen Fulton Jr. fan Monday. I was during the fight. I was an Inoue fight fan too, of course. Bigger Inoue fan, but I respect Fulton Jr., fan of his. This dude has gone on a run now where he's fought Inoue. He's fought Roman. He's fought Figueroa. He's fought Leo. How do we not respect that? Yeah, but he has a loss, Calix. You know who's saying that? His pretend fans. His pretend fans who finally had to come out and admit yesterday because they got it dreadfully wrong that they don't follow boxing underneath 135. They had to come out and admit it. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. They get it wrong, and when they get it wrong, they have to come out and admit and say, you know what? I got it wrong because I don't watch it. That Japanese dude, he looked great. He looked like he was in shape. He beat Fulton Jr. Good for him. But they had to come out and admit that this is the first time they watched the Naoya Inoue fight. And they're throwing Fulton under the bus. Poor Fulton. They're throwing him under the bus. I'm not going to feel sorry for him because he got paid handsomely, but they're throwing him under the bus because he's needless to them now. They were his pretend fans. They're not his real fans. They're not dudes like me who was watching this fighter 3, 4, 5 years ago. No. This may have been their first or second time watching Fulton Jr. fight. But they were the loudest ones in the room. Why? Because they needed Inoue to lose. Why? I think we know the reason behind that. But they're showing their ignorance, and it's hilarious. And we're going to point it out. Because people are like, Calix, why are you talking about this? You know, we should just, no. We're going to point out their ignorance. That's what we're going to do. Why? Because people don't do it. And what happens? We're then surrounded by ignorance. We're then surrounded by crayon eaters just eating crayons in the class and disrupting the class. Why? Because these dudes are emboldened because nobody's confronting this. Nobody's poking fun at them. And we're going to poke fun at them today because they're throwing Stephen Fulton Jr. under the bus. Why? Because he's meaningless to them now. The O is gone. They can't handle fighters who lose. Oh my God, God forbid a fighter lose. Oh my God, we can't have it. Weekend, I respected Fulton Jr. going in. He fought the best fight he could possibly fight. His team didn't do him any favors going in. We can talk about that. And we'll look forward to what he has in the future. I look forward to see how he fits in at 126. Stephen Fulton Jr. announces a fight. Guess who the first one's going to be talking about it? This guy right here. These dudes were nauseating before the fight. Now they want you to forget all about it. And these journalists who cap for these dudes and pretend to be neutral, like, just leave it alone. Just let them do what they do. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to make fun of them because for months, these dudes were Inoue needs to prove his greatness to me against one of our great fighters. And this dude, he's a hype job. And don't pretend like it's not out there because it's everywhere. Inoue's a hype job from Japan, and he's just never done it in America. He needs to prove his superiority against one of our fighters. Really? And they were the loudest ones in the room, and now they have to come out and admit that this whole time, it was just cap. It was cap. We had no idea what we were talking about the whole time because we don't follow boxing underneath 130. Oh, really? You don't follow half of boxing's weight classes? That's what you're telling me? That's what you're telling me. And we're supposed to listen to you. Okay, but now they're throwing Stephen Fulton Jr. under the bus because now he's meaningless to them. Meaningless. Those are what we call pretend fans. And I've talked about this with David Benavidez Jr. David Benavidez Jr. may have some good, well-intentioned fans out there. But these new David Benavidez fans, we know why they're his fans. Right? There's this other guy in his division, and we need to tear him down. So we're going to adopt this. We're going to build narratives around that. And they're his pretend fans. But as soon as David Benavidez loses a fight, guess what they're going to do? Overboard. You're meaningless to us now. Stephen Fulton Jr. is now meaningless to them. They're going to go back to pretending like he doesn't exist. And he's not going to exist in their world. Why? Because they said why. They don't follow boxing south of 135. They don't. They do not. They couldn't tell you Stephen Fulton's style, what he does. This dude hasn't fought in Pennsylvania in 6 years, much less Philadelphia. And these dudes were out here saying, why is he going to Japan to fight on a Tuesday morning? Why do you think? Because he did a $61,000 live gate in Minnesota in his last fight. That's why. They papered the hell out of it. Dudes were getting there for free, sitting ringside for free. Why? Because you dudes don't care about him. Why is he going to Japan? Why is this fight happening in Japan? Why? He's the champion. Why do you think? It's your fault. You should have paid attention. And now you're pretending to care about him on the eve of the fight. And on the day after the fight, he no longer exists. He's dead to us. You know who he's not dead to? Me. He's a great fighter to me. He's a great fighter going in. He lost to a special fighter. Remember, that was, for me, that sums up this week. It's special, smaller fighter versus great, bigger fighter. I think that's going to be the key of this week going forward for both super fights. We can properly put into perspective, break down fights intelligently. Why? Because we follow all of boxing's weight classes. We're not out here race baiting. We're not out here being xenophobic. We're not out here tearing down foreign fighters because they're not one of our own. We're not out here being smug. We're not out here being arrogant. We're not out here saying stuff is super suspect. We're not doing that. We're not out here talking about VADA testing and hand wraps and stacking. All these guys are now stacking experts. This dude, Inoue, he just pulls up at the fight and he's like, "You want me to wrap the hands like this? All right, watch me. I want you to watch me put on the hand wraps that are going to knock out your fighter. That's what I want you to do." He just keeps looking right there. You see this? These knuckles, these are ones, these knuckles, that's going to be the ones that knocks out your fighter. You want me to wrap it this way, that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's Inoue. That's what he does. And these dudes are now throwing Fulton Jr. under the bus. Why? Because he's now meaningless to them. He didn't beat the foreign fighter. He didn't put the foreign fighter back in his place. So now he's non-existent again. Now he goes back to doing $51,000 live gates in God knows where, Minnesota. Because these dudes who were pretending to care about him the last couple of months and were writing wolf tickets, writing checks that they could not cash, now they're going to pretend, they're going to try to erase it from history. That's what they're going to try to do. My advice to Fulton Jr. and his team would be what? And it's going to sound crazy. It's going to sound crazy, guys. It's going to sound crazy. You went to Japan. They know you now. You were in a super fight. So how about you continue to go over there and fight, even against non-Japanese fighters? Business is booming there. I witnessed basketball players, wrestlers, mixed martial artists, not from Japan, go over there to Japan, China, and become superstars. How about we start to think outside of the box? What would you rather do? Would you rather go where you're beloved and you can make a good bit of money, or would you rather come back to America where people have already said they don't care about you because they don't follow your weight class? I wish it wasn't the case. I push the lower weight classes every day, almost every day on this channel. This is where the action's at. Dudes are forced into legacy fights because the money, it's more real there. It's not inflated like in the middle and upper weight classes. So you have the real action there. You have suspense. You have entertainment. It's down there. And you dudes are pretending in America like it doesn't exist. Why? Because we don't have a lot of American fighters down there. I'm assuming that's one of the reasons. So would you rather come back to that in misery and whatever narratives these dudes are trying to build up when they don't even act like you exist? Fight in Minnesota. These dudes haven't even put you in Philadelphia, much less they don't even put you in. Dude, Pennsylvania, it's been 6 years since you fought in Pennsylvania. That's their home state. These dudes are putting you in Minnesota. Minnesota. Copping the hell out of it. And you expect people to start to care? Like, go where, dude, they were high-fiving you after the fight. You lost every round and got knocked out. Go there. But I know that's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I know I'm going to be called crazy. It's crazy. Inoue's weight ceiling. Inoue is, don't listen to these dudes. Don't listen to them. That dude is insane. He doesn't have a glaring weakness. He will knock your head off, and he wants to. That's the thing. He wants to. He is not happy with the decision. I watched him fight Butler. I watched Butler run around the ring like Martin Lawrence when he's fighting Tommy Hearns on the Martin Show, and he still mows Butler down. And then he comes into this fight with Fulton Jr. With Fulton Jr., he's like, these raps, these are the ones you want? All right, these are the raps you want? Okay. All right, got you. That's the raps you want? Okay. And then he goes in there and completely destroys and annihilates Stephen Fulton Jr., who's a great fighter. And that doesn't change. Stephen Fulton Jr. is a great fighter. He's the bigger fighter. He's a great boxer. And then Inoue comes in there and completely destroys him. I watched Inoue run out the corner. And it was an interesting thing because Inoue, I could tell these dudes wanted to fight because they took their shirts off as soon as they got in the ring. They're like, yeah, anthems, come on. And then they run out to the middle of the ring. They ran out to the middle of the ring. If you go back and watch that fight, I watched it twice. They run out to the middle of the ring before the bell rings. The referee's trying to hold them back. And Inoue stands right there in the middle, one hand up, stationary, the other hand right there. And that right there, it just signaled to me that we can do this however you want. However you want. You want me to rush in? You want me to box? I can beat you at your own game. We can do it however you want, but it ends my way. I'd say you can dictate how it goes, but it's gonna end my way. It's gonna end with you on the canvas looking up at the lights. That's Inoue. That's his greatness. I watched that 3-punch combination that he threw to put Fulton on the canvas. And this is Fulton. We're not going to do revisionist history yet. We're going to pretend like, oh, Fulton Jr. was overvalued. No. All you dudes who are out here writing checks that people couldn't cash, stick to it. Fulton Jr. was a great fighter coming in. He's still a great fighter. He was a great fighter yesterday. Inoue ran through him, and this is what special fighters do. Inoue ran through him like he was an average fighter. Ran through him. In that 3-punch combination, when he does the spearing jab to the body, and they're like, oh, anybody can spear to the body. Not like that. And he does it. He disguises the straight right with the spear to the body, the jab to the body. Right when he lands the jab, he's coming straight up with the straight right. And the straight right looked like it was going to take Fulton's head off. I've watched it from many different angles. Good Lord. I thought Stephen Fulton Jr.'s head was going to land in the third row. And then he doesn't pose. That's another thing. And that's what makes great finishers. And this is what separates the top elite from just great fighters to good fighters. This is the separation we talk about. What is it? It's watch Ugas when he fought Spence. When he got Spence hurt, what did he do? He just stood there. Just stood there. Spence is looking down at the mouthpiece, and Ugas is just standing there. It's like, go get him. And he doesn't. He just stands there. What did Inoue do? And it's what we talk about: punch placement, killer instinct, finishing, power, and just certain dudes have it. Certain dudes know as soon as that fighter gets hurt, like that, they know, and they go for the kill. It's like a shark smelling blood, right? They go for the kill. Inoue knew right when he landed that right hand, it's done. It's done. And what does he do? He jumps in, both feet off the ground, and he lands that left hook. And he's landing that left hook, fellas. He's throwing the left hook when Fulton's head is up here, knowing that Fulton's head, as he's dropping, is going to be over here when he lands it. He throws the punch not up here. He throws it here. And that's the difference. That's the punch placement we talk about. All the great fighters, Inoue, Canelo, Bud, those guys have special punch placement. It's going to be one of the separations between Bud and Spence on Saturday night, I think, anyway. One of the several differences between those two fighters is punch placement. Bud knows where to place punches when he gets somebody hurt. For Errol Spence, it's more of a overwhelming thing, right? He's going to overwhelm you with size and thudding power, and every punch isn't going to land. It's not going to be perfect punch placement, but he's going to overwhelm you, right? With Bud, he knows where to put those punches. And in a way, it's the same thing. When he gets somebody hurt, he realizes where he needs to put those punches in order to finish the job. And that's what he did Tuesday morning. I'm so used to saying Saturday night. That's what he did. Was he knew where to land that left hook. He knew where to place it in order to finish the job off on Fulton. And Fulton somehow gets up. And then what does he do? You watch that last sequence, downstairs, upstairs. He doesn't panic. It's not a bunch of arm punches, upstairs, downstairs. I'm overwhelmed him. I'm going to force them to stop this fight. And that's what we had. Inoue is a special fighter in every way. In every way. And the sad part, and this is what we talked about with, True School Sports, Boxing Wave, Steve Kim this week is it's sad that people have been missing this. It's sad that people who pretend to be boxing experts missing this. How are you missing this? How are you missing arguably one of the greatest fighters of our generation? How? It's confusing to us. He hasn't fought anybody. What do you mean he hasn't fought anybody? What are you talking about? And then they'll use their greatness against him. I want you to notice this, and I'm gonna show you some. I'm gonna show you some stuff here in a minute, and we'll all laugh about it together. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Y'all make sure to hit that like button for me. And I'm going to get back to these comments. I promise y'all, I'm going to get back to some of these comments. But it's amazing to me. This is amazing to me how people can miss this. But it's also amazing to me. And people show what they think about certain fighters by their expectations. They will lie to you, but you know what they really think by their expectations of certain fighters. And how do I know this? Let me give you specific examples. What happened after yesterday? Look at this dude right here. Let me show you this. Look at this dude. Look at this dude right here. This is 78. This is the king of LDBC. And look at this: 433 likes, 5.6 views. And in no way am I jealous of this. I'm just it's just amazing to me that people consume this content. And by the way, this dude has a XXX OnlyFans that he pitches to grown dudes. I don't understand that either. But Monster Inoue versus Tank Davis is fireworks. Monster Inoue versus Tank Davis is fireworks. He put this out right after the fight. And there are many reasons. And by the way, people are going to do this thing again. Oh, this isn't really. No, it's happening. And it's out there. And it's out there and it's prevalent. I'm telling you, it is. Log on to Twitter. These dudes are everywhere. And the reason they're everywhere is they're so used to running around here unchecked with nobody pushing it back because nobody has any balls anymore. We got a bunch of Theon Greyjoys out here. We got a Theon Greyjoy boxing media to where if these dudes transition from male to female, the hard part would be already done because these dudes have no balls anyway. But nobody addresses this. And this is how we get surrounded by a bunch of crayon eaters, a bunch of special ed kids. Why? Look at this. Look at it. Let me take away this banner real quick and you can see. This is the funny part right here at the bottom. Can Naoya Inoue beat Gervonta Davis? And I'm not going to click the show more because I don't want to see anymore. Can Naoya Inoue beat Gervonta Davis? And this is what I'm talking about, fellas. Expectations. Notice the expectations here. This is Exhibit A. Look at Exhibit A here. Can Naoya Inoue beat Gervonta Davis? I don't know. Can Gervonta Davis beat Tim Tszyu? I don't know. That's equivalent, right? And even more so, really, because this dude's already jumped 5 weight classes, and this dude's only won Reggie's in 3. Can Gervonta beat, or can Naoya Inoue beat Gervonta Davis? I don't know. Can he? And this is what I'm talking about. This is LDBC behavior, but dudes act like this isn't prevalent. They hear me talk about this. They're like, let it go, Calix. Just let it go. Dude, we've tried that. How's it work? We're surrounded by them now. So how about we try something different? How about we make fun of them? How about we just try that? I'm not going to let them mess up my fun because I enjoyed the hell out of yesterday. I was telling D-Style this last night. After the show, we were talking on the phone. It's just a beautiful thing when you have special talents in your sport. It just is, man. Like when you see a dude just come out and do something, you're like, damn. I'm not even a LeBron fan, but when they came back down 3-1 against Golden State, did what they did, and he just those last 3 games, like, good Lord, when Michael Jordan was doing what he was doing, Tom Brady. But when you see fighters in particular, because boxing is the toughest sport, and when you see dudes doing stuff that is not normal and you're like, that dude is an alien, I'm not going to let dudes ruin that for me. We're going to poke fun at him, but Inoue is special. Good Lord. It's the Pacquiao thing all over again, though. It's like they got to start that blueprint. Asian fighter jumping weight classes? No. We can't have that. Let's roll out the whole Nancy Reagan thing again, right? Drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. Vatted testing. Vatted testing. This is super suspect. No, 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 no. Hand wraps. Stacking. Stacking. Everybody knows about stacking, right? These dudes heard about stacking for the first time last week, and now they're going to act like stacking experts. Why? Because they need to stop Naoya Inoue. Why? And I can't realize, like, psychologically, I know why they're doing it, because they're miserable on a psychological level, just as a happy dude. And I think most people in the chat are like this, just as happy dudes, right? Who just enjoy boxing. And this is why I talk about with like Canelo, Inoue. For the most part, I think Bud. For the most part, we're just happy boxing fans. We're not out here spreading narratives and race baiting and all this stuff. Why? Because we're happy. We're just here for boxing, right? And then these dudes try to come into space and just ruin it. And they've taken over the space. Trying to ruin everybody's fun, trying to make everybody as miserable as they are. That on a psychological level, that's it. But for the most part, the Canelo fans, the Inoue fans, were like, all right, here's our money. Canelo, here's our money. Naoya, here's our money. Just, go do what you do. And they do. They fight the fights. And it's a happy relationship. It's the confusing thing with the Tank relationship, right? And why these dudes... look, these dudes bring up Tank. Why? Because they have to attach Tank to every great fighter. That's number one. There are several reasons why they're bringing up Inoue versus Tank. And its expectations, number one. They're going to act like Inoue is not a great fighter, but their expectations are Inoue is so special that he can jump 3 more weight classes, and they'll use the greatness against these fighters. They do it with Canelo. Well, he went to Showtime for the Caleb Plant fight. Why can't you just go over to Showtime for these fights? Fair enough. But why aren't we doing that with other fighters? I know the answer. But with Inoue, he's already jumped 5 weight classes. What's 3 more? I guess. Can you at least be honest as to why you say something like that? What's 3 more? He already stepped 5. Look at this right here. And dudes are going to pretend like they don't know what this is and why this is out there. Look at Steven Espinoza, the press secretary for PBC. He's a full-time network exec, but his side hustle is to come out and do interviews for Al Heyman. And he comes out and does interviews for Al Heyman on the LDBC channels, on the PBC Twitter spaces. And he says stuff, and these dudes act like he's just, oh my God, Steven Espinoza. When Steven Espinoza speaks, oh my God, oh my God, Steven Espinoza. And he loves it. He loves the adulation that they give them, and it's just a huge circle jerk. But Showtime Steven Espinoza on some fans wanting Gervonta Davis versus Naoya. It's funny every time I hear it. You never know. Guys, you never know. It sounds a bit crazy. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it sounds a bit crazy. Yeah, it does. But it's only 13 pounds more, of course. It's only 13 pounds more, guys. Forget the weight classes, fellas. Steven Espinoza here, Galaxy Brain, has assured us that's only 13 pounds more. It sounds a bit crazy, but it's only 13 pounds more. I'd love to see Tank versus Inoue. Yeah, I'm sure you would. After that performance versus Stephen Fulton, I wouldn't put anything out of his reach. So at least that last sentence, he at least he gives him that credit, right? Is I expect great things of him. Why? Because he's a great fighter. I expect special things of him because he's a special fighter. Special fighters, great fighters, good fighters, different expectations. And here's the thing. We talked about the Pygmalion effect, right? Pygmalion effect states something like people are going to live down or up to the expectations of their environment, right? So that's why it's important to surround yourself by ambitious people and special people. This isn't just boxing, special people. They don't even worry about the expectations of them. They have their own expectations of themselves. They surround themselves by good people, and they know where they want to get in life, and then they go get it. But 99% of the population, and Tank Davis Tank Davis is agnostic as to who he fights, and there's a good and a bad about that. We interviewed Freddie Rojas last night. Freddie Rojas says, I'll fight whoever they want me to fight, and that's good. You're a fighter. He says, I'm a fighter. I'm not a business. I'm a fighter. That's good, but it's also bad. Why? Because those guys will fight anybody. That's the good news. The bad news is they'll fight anybody. And that's why I say we can't put anything past Tank, because Tank went in there with Raleigh. I don't think people fully understand what that is. You went in there with Raleigh Romero. He looked like Bambi on ice against Yickett. He lost to Marinez, and Tank went in there with him. So that's when I hear Chris Colbert, and I'm telling my wife, we got to update the will, because if Tank fights Chris Colbert, I'm going to die of laughter. And I don't put it past him. I don't put it past him. I mean, look at this. Gervonta Davis wants to fight again this year following his release from prison. Showtime Steven Espinoza has divulged. Just says. Espinoza said Tank versus Chris Colbert rumors are a little bit premature, and an Isaac Cruz rematch is one potential option. So what is he saying here? I'll translate. Isaac Cruz is fighting this weekend. If Isaac Cruz looks good, then he's a 8-1, 9-1 favorite. If he looks good in a fight he's supposed to win, then we'll fight Isaac Cruz. If not, we'll have Chris Colbert in the bullpen. That's what this is. That's what this is. Right? He's revealed that there have been preliminary discussions about Gervonta Davis versus Before I finish reading this, back to this real quick. Not this one. This one. Expectations. Notice how the expectations here are of Inoue to jump up multiple weight classes, but we can't even just the thought, just us saying Tank Davis should probably fight the top 1 or 2 guys in his weight class, the top 3 guys in his weight class. We shouldn't be saying it. We can't expect that of Tank. And Tank has already proved himself. How? I don't know. But I know he wins every mythical victory. Why? He wins every mythical matchup. Why? Because of the Tank Davis theorem, right? The Tank Davis theorem states multiple things. It states that he doesn't fight in specific weight classes. That way, when guys call him out in certain weight classes, no, I'm not in this weight class. I'm in this weight class. The other part of it is they have to say they don't care about belts, because once you get belts, you become a target. Devin Haney is learning that now. Devin Haney is learning what Canelo goes through on an everyday basis. If I go over here, it's wrong. If I go over here, it's wrong. Everybody wants the belts, and if I move to 140, I'm ducking everybody at 135. If I stay at 135, I'm ducking the smoke at 140. He's learning that now. But it takes special fighters to be able to take on, special to great fighters be able to take on that responsibility of having the belts, being a target, and the Tank Davis team does not want any part of that. None. And it shows up with stuff like this is, how about we expect Tank Davis, instead of talking about novelty fights, I'm tired of the novelty fights, and this is their expectations of him. They see him as a novelty fighter, yet they want him to be a top 10 pound for pound guy so bad. It's why I can't stand seeing it. Like, what are you putting him into your top 10 pound for pound for? Well, he doesn't have to prove it because he looks great. I know he looks great, but it's the eye test. Shouldn't he have to prove it against somebody? For the love of God, when does he have to prove it to somebody? I don't need to see any more. I've seen enough. He's a top 10 pound for pound guy. He's a pound for pound guy based off of what? Doesn't he at some point have to prove it to somebody? It's the expectations, fellas. You're going to live down or up to your expectations. And it's why I tried to explain this yesterday, and this week when we have Wave on, we have Steve Kim on, and I have great boxing minds on, is True School Sports, is particularly Steve Kim. Shout out to him. Great guy. And great boxing mind. But it's expectations. You're going to live up or down to them. If our expectations of American fighters are so low now, and our expectations of foreign fighters are up here, we need foreign fighters to prove to us, bend over backwards, do mental gymnastics. We need them to prove a certain level, and they have to go up here to prove it to you. And then our expectations of American fighters are way down here. What do you think we're going to get long term? What do you think we're going to get? We're going to get more American fighters doing this level shit and the foreign fighters doing this level shit. We're going to wake up a decade from now and the super fights are going to be over there. Japan, Australia, UK, Saudi Arabia. Why? Because we have talented fighters just doing average shit over here. We have 20 of the 68 major belts, but we're in an undisputed era, fellas. So that number is a bit inflated to 20. 4 fighters own 12 of those belts, over half of them. Almost all those belts are consolidated between 135 and 154. The sport, dude, American boxing below 130 is in trouble. Middleweight and up is in trouble. Wake the hell up. Expectations. We're expecting more foreign fighters, and we wonder why are we getting more foreign fighters doing great things, and we're getting less of American fighters doing great things. What do you think? What do you think's happening? What do you think's gonna happen? But the Tank Davis thing, man, and I see this, like I see this stuff right here. It's just, how, dude, I have a crazy idea. How about Tank fights the top guys in his own weight class? How about you stop treating him like a novelty fighter, especially if you're trying to tell everybody he's a great fighter? And how about Inoue continues? Don't even mess with Inoue. Inoue is doing everything right. Don't even mess with that. All right? Don't even start to mess with that. Inoue is doing everything right. Move up weight classes, consolidate belts, become undisputed, use the 4-belt blueprint, and then move up to 126 next year and try to do it there. He's behaving like a fighter. You're expecting more of him. You're expecting less of Tank. So what do you think you're going to get? You're going to get more fights like Isaac Cruz rematch. Who the hell is calling for that fight? And who the hell is calling for Chris Colbert? Well, he's going to fight a slick black fighter. That's what you wanted. The dude is so slick that he lost almost every round to Hector Luis Garcia. And that's what you're going to be okay with. Well, he just came out of jail. Dude, he did 60 days in county. Really? He can't do push-ups in there? And now they're trying to tell me that the timeline is off. Showtime Steven Espinoza has divulged that there have been preliminary discussions about Gervonta Davis versus Devin Haney. Yeah, I'm sure there were. But he's not sure it's realistic to be next. Why? Why not? Why is it not realistic? He expects Regis Prograis versus Haney to happen, but said the door is open for future talks. I'm sure that door is wide open. I'm sure it is. When the fights are tough, there are a ton of obstacles. But when the fights are easy, there are no obstacles. Devin Haney's a free agent, fellas. He's a free agent. So, like, I have a crazy idea. And let's go off a track record. Let's play this game. What's more realistic if Tank versus Devin doesn't happen next? Is it because Devin doesn't want to fight Tank or Tank doesn't want to fight Devin? And Tank's agnostic. He doesn't even care. I don't even put him in his equation. Is it Tank's team doesn't want him to fight Devin? And if the Devin timeline doesn't line up, then you just did a cross-promotional fight. So Shakur? Lomachenko? I'm old enough to remember a half decade ago when Floyd and Tank had this verbal spat, public spat, and what happened? Floyd threatened publicly to feed Tank to Lomachenko. But it's why the Tank Davis fan base does not like Devin Haney. It's they wish Tank would behave like subconsciously on that level. They wish Tank was who Devin Haney is. They wish he had all the belts. They wish he would have moved up to 140 and fought a real fighter, right? Which is what Devin's probably about to do. They wish that Tank would have fought Lomachenko like Devin did. And I don't even think Devin won the fight, but he fought it. He got a decision. They wish Tank would do stuff like go over to Australia and fight 2 fights. They wish. He's not doing it. And then publicly, they'll give off these expectations instead of telling Tank and Steven and Leonard, who is a fan of the show, by the way. Shout out to Leonard. And Al, who doesn't do interviews, by the way. And he has his press secretary, Steven Espinoza, out there doing interviews. But this is what we have, fellas. Crazy idea. Like, Tank is the face of boxing, right? Okay, do face of boxing shit. Canelo got what from the PBC? 50 million, 50 million, 50 million, 50 million per fight plus pay-per-view upside? I thought we had a new sheriff in town. Why isn't Tank able to throw B-side money out like Canelo? I'm confused. I thought he was the face of boxing. 1.2 million buys. So why isn't he able? Why isn't it realistic? Why aren't they able to make Devin Haney an offer he can't refuse as the B-side? Hell, he can't make 135. They just did a fight at 136. They don't care about belts anyway. Belts, no belts. Shakur doesn't have a belt. They don't care about belts anyway. Shakur? Make Shakur an offer he can't refuse. Shakur's out there looking for a fight. Shakur will pull up on anybody. Lomachenko is expendable to Top Rank now, so make an offer. No? Chris Colbert? Isak Cruz? And I'm so tired of Isak Cruz pulling up at other people's fights like he's a real-life pit bull. It's like them trying to pitch that Robert Helenius is a real-life Viking. Vikings don't exist anymore, fellas. This dude's walking around like he's a real-life pit bull, and he's fighting 30-1 underdog, 20-1 underdog, 8-1 underdog. He's going to be telling his grandkids and his grandkids, if he lives long enough, his grandkids are going to be telling their grandkids about the time he fought Gervonta Davis and closely lost. He's going to be living off that forever. It's like, dude, can we fight a real fight? It's my issue with what goes on over there is they take forever to get to the point. Get to the point. But a lot of it is special ed dudes like this capping, in capping form and putting expectations out there publicly. And, the people who ask real questions, who would ask real questions of Steven Espinoza, guys like that, they lose credentials. And they rely on it. So they don't want to lose credentials. So like I said, like they castrate these dudes. And you got a bunch of beta males covering the sport, and they're afraid to ask real questions. They're afraid to stand up because they don't want to lose credentials. They're afraid of dudes out there who are race baiting because they're going to be called David Duke or something like that. It's like, somebody stand up. Somebody sack up. Start pushing back on some of this stuff. Start asking real questions. And you wonder why we get the stuff we get. But you got a bunch of special ed dudes getting 600, 700 people in their lives, 5.6 views on nonsense. And these are the dudes that were in the special ed class. Like we knew these dudes. They were in the class. All of a sudden they disappeared. You saw them at lunch. You saw them at recess. You saw them in social studies class. But when it got to the STEM stuff, when it got to math, English, science, they disappeared. And you're like, where'd the kid go? Oh, he's going to special ed. What's that? Special ed class. You talk to them later. It's like, yeah, they ask the same questions. They just ask them differently. It's like, what do you mean? You know how you get the questions and then you got to write the answer below? We get multiple choice. And then when we get multiple choice, they tell us what the answer is. How do they tell you what the answer is? Well, they'll ask me, how many continents are on planet Earth? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it C? 7? Is it 7? You have 7 continents on planet Earth, or is it 2? Is that right answer 7? Yeah, it's 7. That's the special ed kids, and that is who is running the boxing space now. Are there 7 continents on planet Earth? Is it 7? Yes, it's 7. 7's right? Yes, yeah, it's 7. You got that correct. It's 7. That's the dudes who are now running the boxing space, particularly the YTBC, and you got a bunch of emasculated dudes who are real life journalists showing up to BWAA award ceremonies and giving each other awards and circle jerking. And, dudes are afraid to lose their awards and possibility of getting award and credentials because they're afraid to ask the real questions. They've been emasculated. There are a bunch of Theon Greyjoys out here, but I got to give Theon Greyjoy credit. When he got his balls chopped off, at least he did some manly things after. And like I said, if these dudes transition, the hard part's already done. They already lost their balls. Expectations, fellas. Expectations. We got a great fight Saturday. Spence Crawford. Great fight, but it's a fight that should have happened already. And stylistically, I love the matchup. I think this will end up being a great fight. And it's still a legacy fight. But we should be expecting more of guys like Errol Spence Jr., to be honest. This dude won his first belt, the IBF, in 2017. It took him 5 years to consolidate 3 belts. He's fighting in the same weight class for that long for his whole career. It took him 5 years to consolidate 3 belts, in which he had the whole board. He had access to every fight on the board. Everyone. It took him 5 years to consolidate 3 belts. He's saying, I'm going to clean up my side. You clean up your side, okay? Okay? Can't do the fight yet. I've been told by Al we can't do the fight yet. So I'll clean up my side. You clean up your side. We'll eventually get to it. It takes him forever to get to shit. We should have had a trilogy by now. Errol should be fighting at middleweight by now. He should have ran through 154 at this point. And we're finally getting to the fight. But as far as this fight goes, I'll tell you this. Because I don't want to run a great week, and it's a great week. We just have fun at their expense. But the theme going in this week, to me, if I could sum it up in one sentence, is great special small fighter versus great bigger fighter. I think that's what we got. And by the way, I'll ask y'all one thing. I don't ask you for money. I don't have a Cash App down there. I don't have a triple X. Dudes are pitching triple X OnlyFans to grown men, which is weird. You shouldn't be doing it. There are a lot of things you shouldn't do in life, and you shouldn't be pitching OnlyFans triple X's to grown men online. Shouldn't be doing it. That makes you a weirdo. I hope we're all on the same page there. That makes you a weirdo. Okay, so let's not do that. But I don't ask for super chats, none of that stuff. Just hit the like button for me. Just one thing, hit the like button for me. That's all I ask for. But as far as Spence versus Crawford, I think it's a lot. It has a lot of similarities to Inoue versus Fulton Jr. It's a special smaller fighter versus a great bigger fighter. And Errol Spence Jr., to me, there are levels to this. There are levels. There's separation between Bud and Errol, and I think it's going to show up on Saturday. And I could be wrong. Errol could come out and prove us wrong, right? And if he does, we'll be the first one to say we got that wrong. He's special. Good for him. Good for him. We're not going to do revisionist history. Good for him. Because Errol, that's why I caution people, don't start disliking fighters because their fan bases are miserable and nauseating. Don't. In a lot of ways, Errol could have a nauseating fan base. But I like Errol. I think he's a great fighter. Wouldn't lie about that because his fans could be nauseating. I think he's a great fighter. Appreciate this, Serge, giving you a super chat anyway. And I apologize to the chat as well, because this is just one of those days where I was going to come on here and rant, and I'm losing the chat, losing what's going on in the chat. I apologize for that. I don't want to lose stream of thought today. So I apologize for that. I usually get to the chat. Today might not be one of those days, but please keep doing your thing. I appreciate the super chat. But Spence is a great welterweight. Great. Why I say great is he's great. He's not good. He's not really good. He's great. But I don't think he's special. To me, special means part of being special is you could have competed in every era at the top level and won. And I don't necessarily think that of Spence. I'm a Cotto fan. I didn't view Cotto as a special welterweight. I thought he was great. Gave me great memories. Deserves Hall of Fame. All that stuff. I was a huge Cotto fan. Everybody knows that about me. But I'm not going to lie about it. I never thought he was special. I thought he's great. There's levels, like there's the second tier. And I think Errol's on that second tier, the Cottos of the world. He's not on the level that I see Bud at. Bud's special to me. Bud is like where I would view as far as welterweight division, Mayweather, Pacquiao, Oscar, Tito, Leonard, Hearns, those guys. And I think Bud, when I view those matchups, I could see him competing in those matchups. He belongs in that conversation to me. And I don't see that of Errol. I see Errol in those matchups, and I just think I don't see him special like that. I think he would lose those fights. And that's just me. Like, is top tier, and then there's that second tier. And it's close, but there's separation. And that's how I viewed Bud versus Spence and how I view it going into this fight. I'm not going to change my mind on that. I think we're going to see separation in this fight. And Bud's eventually in the middle round is going to separate himself, and I think we'll likely get a late round stoppage. And I think Bud needs to be going in thinking stoppage, because there's a lot of Bud needs to be treating himself like an Eastern European fighter going into this fight. He's got to be treating himself like a Kovalev, a Golovkin, a Lomachenko, guys like that who know you got to take it out of the hands of judges. And Bud's got to know, and he should know by the history, that this fight took a long time to make. Why? Because they don't want me to beat that guy. Okay, so Bud's got to be thinking in his head, I got to take it out of the hands of the judges. Why? Because he's the house fighter. There's a clear dog in this race in which they all want him to win. And I got to be treating it like that, and I got to take it out of the hands of the outside world. These are the judges Saturday night. These are the judges. I think that's how Bud needs to be viewing this. And I think he can do it. Why? I talked about an interview that Gilbert Arenas did, basketball player, went on a great 2-3 year run in which he was close to unstoppable. And he talked about who were the toughest defenders for him. Was it Kobe? Was it Kawhi? They're naming players, great defenders that were his size. And he's like, no. I dog walk those guys. Klay Thompson, too flat-footed for me. Kobe, no. Those guys gave me no issues. None. They're great defenders my size, but I destroyed them. I went right by him. He starts naming like defenders you would have never thought of that were smaller than him. Patrick Beverly types. And why? Lower center of gravity. Those guys are tougher to post up. Those guys are tougher to get by. They get physical with you. They get right up on you. Great lateral movement, lower center of gravity. And they destroy you defensively. You know it's going to be a long night first time down the court. And it's the same thing to me with Bud and Inoue. The fallacy going into Fulton versus Inoue was people thought that Inoue was going to, or Fulton was going to have Inoue on his heels. They thought he was going to walk him down because he's a bigger guy behind the jab. And Inoue was going to have to catch angles, and he's going to grab and wrestle Inoue and use his size on him and keep Inoue on his heels. No, it never happened. Inoue went right to the center of the ring, and Fulton didn't try to push him back at all. Why? Because he knew he couldn't. You have these smaller guys who know how to use their low center of gravity, and they're physical. They're bottom heavy. Inoue's bottom heavy, much like Pacquiao, big calves. And if Fulton tries to push him back, he gets underneath him and he pushes him back. He's going to stand his ground. And these guys know that the bigger guys, once you stand up to them, once you say, nope, this is a line in the sand, I'm not going back, I'm not fighting off my heels, we're going to stay right here. And that could backfire, right? It could backfire in that it wears you down, right? It wears you down. But those guys are not used to fighting off the back foot. They're not used to fighting and punching going backwards. Spence is not used to being pushed backwards and fighting off his back foot. He's just not. If we could see it, I know Bud sees it, because I know Bud's been sizing Errol up for 5-6 years. I know he's a highly intelligent fighter. He's not giving credit for that enough. Why is he not giving credit for that enough? Because he gets hit. And people get hit are not smart, right? But why is he getting hit? He's giving up certain things to lure you into the type of fight that he wants. He's got 100% KO percentage at welterweight. It's carried up. He sets up that power. He sets up that power by luring you into traps. He's much like Inoue. Inoue and Bud are a lot alike. They're both sadistic fighters. They don't want decisions. They want to knock you out. They're very much alphas. They're very much the dudes who walk into the club, wear white Air Force Ones, white G-Nikes, go to the most heavily trafficked part of the club, stick their foot all the way out, and beg and pray to God that you step on it. They pray to God that you scuff up their white Air Force Ones. Please step on my G-Nikes. Please. I would love a confrontation. Bud loves confrontation. Inoue loves confrontation. They love confrontation. They're going to lure you into that by setting up traps. For Bud, the easiest way to set up traps is hit me. Hit me. Yeah. Hit me. Hit me again. Hit me again. And then he sees red when you hit him. He knows you're coming in closer, and boom, you're out. You're looking up at the lights. Great finishing power. When these guys get you hurt, it's over. It's over. When Inoue landed that straight right against Fulton Jr., it was over. There was nothing Fulton Jr. could do. It's over. It was over before that. That's why I texted Steve Kim after the second round. It's over. The fight's over. It's over. You can't let a rhythm fighter get in a rhythm. He was in a rhythm like that. Bud's a rhythm fighter too. He's many things. Inoue's many things. They're both rhythm fighters. You let them get in that zone to where they start messing around with you. They're doing whatever they want with you. And they start playing with their food a little bit, having fun. It's over. It's over. So what I'm telling you in this fight, what I think is going to happen stylistically, because I don't see too many people doing stylistic breakdowns of this fight. What is it? It's people either saying, yeah, Bud's just a greater fighter. He's special. That guy's great. He's special. That's it. And then with Errol, they always throw this out, right? His size. He's a bigger fighter. He's a bigger fighter. He's a bigger fighter. You know, he's got resistance. You know, he's stamina. He's going to win the fight that way. What I think Bud may do in this fight, and people thought Fury was crazy when he started talking like this going into the second fight. I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to walk him back. You're like, what? And the difference here is Fury is a naturally bigger fighter, right? But it's hard walking down a hellacious puncher like that, and Fury did it. He bullied the bully, and I think we're going to have a bully the bully tactic here. I know how strong Bud is. We've seen him in the weight room. We've seen him walk into a weight room with street clothes on, right? And walk up to a deadlifting rack and deadlift 450 without stretching, walking around at 150, 160. I mean, the dude is bottom heavy. He's strong, and he's about that life. He's got that demeanor. And let me ask you a question, because people are questioning Bud's chin or more so than Errol. Let me ask you a question. Which scenario do you envision more? Is it Bud getting knocked out by Errol or Errol getting knocked out by Bud? Because I'm seeing a lot more Bud by stoppage than Errol by stoppage. Which one? I'm being told that Errol is the more durable fighter, but more people are picking Bud by stoppage than Errol by stoppage. I think what we're going to have here is a bully to bully tactic. I don't think we're going to have Bud using his legs a lot early, and and perhaps I'm wrong, but it's not an easy pathway. It's easier said than done. But I think we can see Bud drawing a line in the sand early and saying, I'm not going back. I'm not going backwards. This is the line right here. And it's not pressure, right? It's not pressure fighting. It's I'm standing here. Inoue did it right away. Inoue ran right to the center of the ring, put his hands up and said, I'm here. What are you going to do? I'm here. Let's see, big guy. What you got, big guy? I'm right here. What you going to do? He's telling Fulton's trainer, he don't even speak the same language, but he's looking at him while he's getting his hands wrapped. And he's saying, is that good enough? Is that good enough hand wrap for you? Is that stacking? Is it stacking? Is that good? Okay, because that's the hand wraps I'm going to be wearing when I knock your fighter out. And then he runs to the center of the ring right away. He took his shirt off. Dude, I watched it. Took his shirt off right away. And then he runs to the center of the ring right away. Just stands there. Says, "What you got, big guy? What are we going to do?" And I think we'll have a similar situation with Bud, I think anyway, to where whether it happens early, whether it happens later, he's going to have that moment where he's like, this is the line right here. We're going to figure this out. We're going to figure it out. For 5 years, for half a decade, you've been telling me this side of the street, that side of the street. You've been on that side of the street, having your people protect you. I've been on this side of the street, waiting for this fight. This is the line right here. Let's figure it out. What you got, big guy? What you going to do? Low center of gravity, strong, gets underneath Spence. Spence tries to back him up. Crawford says, no, we're not going to do that. You know what I want to see? I want to see if you can fight off your back foot. I want to see if you can throw punches with power going backwards. Let's see that. I want to see what you can do without having momentum going forward. Let's see. If we're smart enough to see that, I think Bud sees it too. It's about, can he execute it? And I think special fighters can execute. You know, the wild card here could be 37 years old. Maybe he's not capable of doing it anymore. We're going to find out. But I think special fighters are able to execute a plan like that and win any kind of way. And what I do want to see, I said this Monday when Boxing Wave was on. I said, what I want to see this week is, you know, we have too many big fights that just don't live up, right? It's Tank versus Ryan. Does 1.2 million buys, but what was it? It was Tank versus Ryan, right? And then you got Haney Lomachenko, where 75 to 80% of the public definitively thinks this guy won the fight, but the other guy gets the decision, right? And I like Haney, but just didn't see it. I want definitive answers. I want definitive finishes. And that's what Inoue and Bud offers me as a boxing fan. And like I said, Inoue, Bud, Canelo, their fan base are mostly just boxing fans who gravitated to them over time. It's not tribal. Inoue doesn't just have Japanese fans. Canelo, not Mexicans. Bud, not American. They have a universal base, right? And with Bud, I think he's capable of pulling something like that off. But what he offers me as a boxing fan is definitive finishes. It's why I like Canelo's run at 168 is knockout, knockout, knockout. I mean, it was beautiful. It's why I like Inoue, knockout, 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 knockout. Bud at welterweight, knockout, 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 knockout. 8 knockouts, 8 fights, 8 knockouts. Beautiful. I don't have to go and explain to people after the fight, yeah, you know, we all thought that guy won, but, you know, the criteria for judging is, you know, whoever lands the, it's like, I don't want to be in those conversations. Can somebody please just knock the guy out so I don't have to explain to people what's going on with boxing? And that's what Inoue offers me. It's like Inoue versus Fulton Jr. We're going in. We're like, it could be close. I don't know. It could be close. Fulton Jr. is a great fighter. And then Inoue just comes in there and steamrolls him and knocks him out. And we don't have to discuss these things. We just talk about his greatness. That's what they offer me. Bud offers me the same thing. It's like, I'm going there. I'll knock the guy out. And I hope that's what we get this week. Is we already got that with Inoue versus Fulton Jr. We got one definitive answer. And however this fight goes on Saturday night, whether it be Bud winning or Arrow winning, I want one of them to show separation. At least give me a great, entertaining fight. And if it's close, fine. If we get close scorecards that are acceptable, fine. That's beautiful too. But what I'd really like is not only a great, entertaining fight, but a definitive answer. Who's better? You guys have been dancing around this for a half a decade. For the love of God, let's get to it. Get in the ring. Let's not dance around it more. Just, I want Bud to say, nope, I'm not going backwards. I'm not. Let's figure this thing out. Let's figure it out. You try to knock me out, I'm going to take your best shot because that's what I do. Like I set these punches up. I set these punches up by allowing you to get some ground on me, set traps. And then let's see Bud's best shot against Errol. Let's see if Errol can withstand that. And then we'll watch what happens Saturday, and then we'll deviate from there. If we're wrong about it, if Errol ends up being the special fighter, so be it. And we'll say it, and we'll be transparent. We'll be honest. We're not going to demean Errol Spence over here. Errol Spence is a great fighter, but let's see it. Let's see it. On that note, God bless. I'm out. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.